This guy has been lying so much to the people that they actually had to fact check Biden's top economist on Fox Business. So let's check it out and see.
Speaking of the White House, honored to have my next guest, the
streets, these political streets. Let's tune into the video, man.
Chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors, Jared Bernstein. You know, Jared, I understand your frustration sometimes when you look at the data and Americans don't buy the data, but they really don't buy the president telling them that they're essentially wrong. It's not that bad. So how do you navigate that?
Well, that's not at all what the president tells them. And in fact, yesterday, if you look at his statement, which is on the White House website, on the inflation report, we got a very favorable report from the perspective of the markets today, as you have been reporting correctly. But he pointed out, I think one of his first sentences is, we know families are still struggling with prices that are too high. I mean, this is practically a quote from his statement yesterday. Never will this president blow off the struggles that families like the one he grew up in are going through. Instead, he'll take action to help them through cutting costs, prescription drug, clean energy, housing, child care, junk fees, actively working to lower costs in those areas. So
stuff that we all don't care about. Yeah. Stuff that we all don't care about. Nobody cares about that. We want to see gas prices go down. We want to see vegetables and grocery prices go down. We want to see restaurant prices go down. We want minimum wage to go up. We want taxes to go down. We don't care about health insurance. We don't care about green energy. We do obviously need health insurance, but dude, if we got to go to the doctors, we going to the doctors. Whether we paying or not, we got to go to the doctors. Healthcare should just be free at this point then. But then now, would it even mean anything for a doctor to be a doctor now if everything is free? I don't know. They're doing it in Canada that way, and it seems to be working out for them. So if y'all are so worried about healthcare, just make it free. Then we wouldn't have to have this conversation about healthcare. If y'all are trying to turn the entire planet green, which doesn't make sense, that has nothing to do with the economy. That has nothing to do with inflation. And we want to know why things are going out of the pocket like this. But let's continue.
Not at all dismissive of America's concerns in that regard, Neil.
All right, well, some might disagree with you on that, but I do want to get behind why the president keeps claiming this. This is what talking about inflation. Take a look.
We have dramatically reduced inflation from 9% down to close to 3%. We're in a situation where we're better situated than we were when we took office. It was 9% when I came to office. 9%. But look, people have a right to be concerned. I think inflation has gone slightly up. It was at 9% when I came in, and it's now down around 3%.
He's lying. He is lying. You'll see.
Why does he keep saying that? You're his top you're the head of the Council of Economic Advisors. Do you ever whisper in his ear, Mr. President, just to be technical about it, it wasn't 9% when you assumed office, it was 1.4%. It got as high as 9% in 2022. You brought it down from that, but it was never, ever, ever 9% when you came into office. So why does he keep saying it?
Well, first of all, let me point out that in that very quote you played, the president talked about how concerned he was for households struggling with prices that he consistently characterizes as too high.
That's not what I asked you.
So
why does he keep misrepresenting this?
Ducking.
He's making the point that the factors that caused inflation to climb to 9% were in place when he took office.
No,
I think
that's
it was
not what he said. He said it was at 9%. It would eventually get to 9% a little over a year after that. But the fact of the matter is it wasn't 9%. So if I can't trust him quoting data in real time, why should I believe what he's talking about now?
So the annual growth in...
Answer the question. Why does he keep saying it was at 9% when he took office? That's a lie. It was not at 9% when he took office. It was much lower. He actually had it at a great percentage when he took office. And then it went up to 9% while he was in office. Because he doesn't know how to manage the economy. And then it went back down. Now it's about at 3 or 4%. Much better than 9%. But it was not 9% when it was his. When it wasn't his. He made it 9%. Let's continue, man.
Core inflation in the second quarter of 21 was in fact about 9%, and his point about inflation down 60% off its peak is very much the case. So
no,
look,
it wasn't. It was not at that. So you're almost as bad as he is. Why can't you just say it was high? It got as high as 9%. You'd be accurate in saying that, and we have now brought it down, and we're struggling in around the 3% area. But it's better than it was. But instead, to hang it on his predecessor, that you inherited something that was through the roof when we were in the middle of COVID. It just seems to the American people, whether you're Republican or Democrat, you're lying. Neil. You're just lying.
Well, hold on. I hear you. The president was making the point that I think is unequivocally true. The factors that took inflation to 9% were in place when he took office.
That is not what he said, Jared. And you're a very smart guy with this stuff. You could just whisper. And he's a good friend of yours. Obviously, thinks the world of you. Many others do as well. You could have just told him, Chief, I got to tell you, Mr. President, whatever you say, you might even, in fact, call him Joe. That's how close you are. And say, sir, it was not 9%. Stop it with the 9%, because the more you say that, the more people don't believe what you're saying.
Look, I think what the American people care most about is the fact.
See how this man. You see how this man. He's looking at his notes. He's flipping papers. He's looking sideways. He's like, dang, he got me. He got me. He got me right now. He got me. He got me. Man, shout out to my guy, man. Shout out to my guy. Cavuto is checking this man. Is this your best man, Biden? Is this your best man? Let's continue.
Inflation,
the American people care about truth, Jared.
Hold on, Neil. Neil, this only works if you let me talk, okay?
You haven't answered my question. I've asked it 5 times, five ways.
The president was making the point that the factors that caused inflation were in place when he took office, and that's unequivocally true.
Right.
I take your point, and we can have we can go on all day back and forth on this. I think what matters today is, are we making progress on lowering costs as well as lowering inflation? You know, they're not the same thing. Lowering both inflation and costs on behalf of the American people. I think we saw a great CPI report yesterday in that regard, but that's just one data point. No victory laps, no getting too far over the skis there. So you think the trend is your friend,
and other economists agree with you that it looks like it could be, and the Federal Reserve might have some flexibility to cut rates.
Correct.
I had a guest on, you might have heard earlier, Jared, who was saying that would be a mistake. It would be a little too soon to start cutting rates. How do you feel about that?
I'm not going to talk about Federal Reserve monetary policy in that regard. What I will say is that the Fed and Jerome Powell has consistently said he needs to have more faith in his forecast, and I suspect he's not the only one. I think a report like yesterday's on the CPA is a data point that helps in that regard, but we'll have to listen to the Fed on that point.
So let me ask you about some of these, and they could be welcome developments. The markets certainly like it, to your point, because a slowdown is better than things heating up. We've seen in the retail inflation report, we've seen in retail sales, we've seen it in job gains slowing off what was a blistering pace. We've also seen it factory output, which is pretty flat right now. Are you worried, now this sounds like a 180, that we could be looking at stagflation here, that things are slowing down, prices are still high? Are you worried about that?
Well, the question to a chair of the CEA is, are you worried about something? I worry about everything. There's a banana peel everywhere you step.
Yeah.
Stagflation is very low on my list for the following reason. First of all, that.
Let me tell y'all the numbers. Meat is up 3.4%. Eggs are down 9%. Breakfast cereal up 1.3%. Milk down 1.2%. Fruits and vegetables up 1.7%, and coffee is down 2%. Cool. Looks like a lot of things are up. Eggs. How is eggs up down 9%? How did it get so high? It's eggs. It's eggs. This is why the people was complaining. This is why. Y'all can't see it, but it's negative 9%.
That the labor market has been consistently tight with unemployment below 4% for
Gas up 1.2%. Electricity up 5%. Utilities down 1.9%. And fuel and oil down 0.08%. We can feel it. We can feel it. We can feel it. The people feel
well
it.
over 2 years. That's helping to generate real wage gains. And by the way, all the disinflation we've had is really important in that regard. So we now have year-over-year wage growth for middle wage workers for 14 months in a row. Now that's the kind of tailwind from the job market to help support consumer spending, 70% of our economy. And it's been just a very positive perpetual motion machine in terms of growth rates.
Everything is
GDP
But
continues.
it hasn't been a perpetual machine, right? I mean, rent growth right now it is outstripping job surges in most of the U.S. metro areas, right? So there is a flip side.
I'm not
Everything
sure.
is up,
I'm not
especially
exactly
housing.
sure what point you're making there. I mean, I
My
think the key
point
point
is
there
that the
is
cost of the American people, what they're enduring, isn't keeping up. Is exceeding what they're earning. You're right; their earnings are going up. They are experiencing these gains, but in
so we have
real
a factual
terms, in real terms, they are not.
So we have a factual disagreement. True or
No,
false?
I didn't make
On
up
a
the fact that
year-over-year
rent growth is outstripping wage gains in most of the U.S.
let me ask you a
metro
question.
areas.
I know you're supposed to ask me a question. I'm asking you a question. On a year-over-year basis, has wage growth been beating price growth?
No.
Wrong.
No, it hasn't.
Okay.
So when I give you this, when I talk about rent growth and grocery and related food costs that are exceeding wage gains, are you saying I just made that up? That I'm reading from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Is that under your control too?
So on a year-over-year basis, wages of middle wage workers went up 0.6% over the past year. I'll put this on Twitter when I get out of here. So that's a fact. And in fact, on a year-over-year basis, wages have been beating prices for, I believe, 14 months running. But I'll make sure that's right when I get back to my office. That's unequivocally
true. On the rent thing, and the fact that food costs, related costs, are exceeding the wage growth that Americans are saying. You're saying that is not happening. That Americans' wages are Americans. You're saying, I want to be clear, is exceeding whatever their costs are that they're enduring, because they would have something else to tell you.
I'm not making a claim here. This is just a factual point that wage growth on a yearly basis is beating price growth and has been for middle wage workers for 14 months in a row. Now,
let's talk about groceries. The core costs that Americans endure. You're saying, wait a minute, no, just to be clear,
I have another
you're
question
saying
for you.
that is not exceeding what they are making, because Americans are telling you otherwise.
I don't know how else to say what I've said.
Wait a minute,
they
have stopped buying a number of items precisely because of that. You're saying, it's not that bad. You won't.
He's way off, yo. This is Biden's top guy, top economic guy. Way off. Prices are up all across the board. Prices are up all across the board. You can't tell me rent is not high. You can't tell me groceries ain't high. You can't tell me gas ain't high. And you can't tell me you getting paid enough. Unless you was really getting paid. He's looking crazy on there. Excuse me. He's looking real crazy. Nobody believes Biden because of this. You guys keep lying to the people. You keep bringing up fake facts. And the people look and they know, they feel it. They feel it themselves, bro. They feel it. We all feel it. We all feel it. And you can't come up there and start fooling us talking about we have the money, the wages are going up, everything matches up. No, it's not true. It's not true. Let me know how you guys feel about that down in the comments below, man. I think that was very, very informative.